So why do I call this the Swiss Army knife of filament dryers? Just look at it. Two completely independent compartments, unified controls, but split display. Today I show you how this unique double design allowed me to tackle two parallel functional projects at once, prepping flexible TPU for our Sovol 0 and rigid PETG for the SV08 simultaneously. That explains the double part. And it covers drying and feeding, but the Swiss Army knife always has that one extra tool that you didn't know you need. This machine has a third killer feature, an intelligent capability that kicks in when most other dryers need your involvement. Stick around and I'll show you exactly what that is. This is gerGO, and welcome to gerGO Print 3D, the YouTube channel about our adventures with 3D printing and related technologies. Just like our earlier videos, this one includes curated, translation-ready subtitles, detailed chapter markers, and audio tracks in many languages. We got a box from Sovol big enough for Levi to hide behind.
Be serious. This is gonna be a filament dryer from Sovol.
Believe it or not, this is our very first dryer from Sovol.
We're gonna take these corners out.
It was pegged with corner protectors and laser cut foam so tight. How are we gonna get it out?
We learned something today. Use your head.
It looks a little bit like an AMS or CFS, right? At first glance, with those dimensions, 372 by 288 millimeters, it looks more like a multi-material system than a dryer. Levi noticed the rubber feet immediately, and unlike our Sunlu S2, which loves to dance off the top of printers, this thing stays put.
Feels good.
After the obligatory peel of this 5-inch LCD screen, we had a moment of panic. Levi forced the latches, plastic pieces flew out, and I thought we broke it on day one. I expected them to slide sideways, like on the Anycubic Ace. But then the relief. It says disposable, Those were just shipping spacers. The actual latch and hinge mechanism, they have metal rods inside. The whole device feels very sturdy, made of strong, thick plastic and metal, and rubber parts where necessary. They can apparently survive the excitement of a 12-year-old.
There is the manual.
I flipped through it quickly. It lists well-sized PTC heaters with 400 watt total power draw. We'll definitely measure the heating speed later. But I was even happier to see NTC thermistor related error codes listed, which indicates active safety protection against thermal runaway.
There is a peel
covering the desiccant compartment.
Nothing. There is nothing inside.
It doesn't come with desiccant, but we'll fill it up in a sec. Levi pointed out the filament outlets on the top lid.
So with the CFS you weren't too far?
It actually does look like a material system. In the other chamber, we found the accessories. A standard power cable, good news, it doesn't need a bulky external power supply, and 4 short PTFE tubes. These will do the job, though some other dryers come with longer tubes. Then we plugged it in and it came to life right away with a chirp and the mechanical sound of the vents. Whoopa. It can make sounds as well.
On the back there is a button. If I press it, it's gonna explode.
And with this, he proceeds to press the illuminated red button immediately.
No, it's just a turn on and off button.
Interesting. That's it. But interestingly, the little motorized vent holes open and close on the back. Let's see.
You turn it on, so.
We'll get back to the importance of these motorized openings soon. We checked the screen. The two sides turn on separately. It has unified controls, but 2 screens. So when you're setting up, you have to choose, but the two sides can work at the same time. So it's nice to see the humidity readout displayed on the screen. If the software has access to these and can open the motorized windows automatically, that suggests the possibility of some pretty advanced functionality. We hadn't fully discovered it at this moment, but we did manage to start drying on one side while checking the limits on the other.
85 is the max and 45 is the minimum.
So the SH03 is our second highest temp dryer after the iDryer, which can go over 100 C. We filled the desiccant compartments with these reusable desiccants I got from AliExpress. 18 ounce or 500 grams for under $13. Having it inside the dryer means it gets dried right along with the filament. A word of caution though, if you are not using bags, be sure to cover the venting holes around the compartment to avoid getting the little balls into the fan and heater below. Honestly, you should use bags. With this, we were ready to test in real projects, which came soon, 2 of them. We got these cute little glue guns from IMHO. They are very practical because both of them are cordless. So when I feel a screw hole in the wall, the best way to secure a dowel, by the way, I don't have to fiddle with a wire. One of them even has a motorized feeder, while the other you have to pump manually. But there was another difference. One came with a silicone base, so it can stand on its own, but the other didn't. I set out to design and print one for the other out of TPU. TPU is a filament notorious for getting wet. At this moment, I haven't yet decided on the color, so we will try 2 colors on the left side. You press the side selector button, then the settings button, then you can select the material, adjust the temperature, and set the timeout. Finally, press the start button. It heats up to 50 C in a whopping 3-4 minutes and reaches the set 70 degrees in just 8-9 minutes, quicker even than the marketing material. When the target temperature is reached, you hear the sound of the motorized venting window opening. Very smart. While the TPU was drying, I tackled another project for the ultrasonic cleaner we got recently from AliExpress. You'll see this machine in action soon. It's something very useful for any workshop. I picked this very affordable Vivor branded unit for the extra features like degassing and gentle modes, the speedy heating system, and the fact that this 3-liter version doesn't have a draining pipe, which eliminates one of the main fail points for these inexpensive cleaners. It's great for cleaning tools and machine parts, but we use various size beakers if the solvent is flammable, like isopropyl alcohol. Now, I found it practical to store these beakers inside the device when not in use, but they can only fit if I flip the lid upside down. However, if I do that, it slips off of the machine easily, making a tremendous noise as it hits the tiled floor. This only happened twice before I started to think about the fix. And this is what I came up with, a kind of collar that we can put around the lid to prevent it from slipping off, and which can be placed under the cleaner while in use. I plan to print this on the SVO8 out of PETG, another filament that benefits from drying before print, especially if it hasn't been used for a while. I placed this orange PETG from Sunlu in the other side and set it up immediately to dry at a slightly lower temperature of 65 C. This is our quietest dryer, making just over 50 decibels of noise when using a single chamber and going up to just around 53 decibels as we activate the second chamber. And unlike our other dryers, this has a pleasant hum. There are no constant clicking sounds like the fixed dry or high frequency components to the fan noise like the others. At the end of the drying cycle, I noticed the internal humidity was at an amazing 6-7% in both compartments. And since the vent holes close automatically at the end of the drying session, this stays around 10% even after several hours. This is probably also due to the desiccant inside. For the detailed drying performance and comparisons to other dryers, be sure to watch our friend Igor's video on his channel, MyTechFun. The SVO8 started printing the ultrasonic lit color. After the speedy probing, thanks to our upgraded eddy sensor, look at that perfect first layer. While this was printing, for the other project, we ended up picking the Silk TPU, also from Sunlu. It is not as soft as some other TPU, but the natural white color is very close to the color of the glue gun. The nozzle of the Zero clogged shortly after starting to print this, which was surprising since we have had many successful TPU prints on this little printer before. I first improvised this direct top feeding contraption, only to realize it wasn't even necessary since the main culprit turned out to be a nozzle temp that wasn't high enough. This Silk TPU prints beautifully at 245 degrees, 10 degrees higher than the stock TPU preset for the Zero. I linked to both high quality filaments in the description below, but this gave me an idea to design a proper filament holder for the top of the Zero for printing TPU at hopefully even higher speeds. Watch our feed for this video, or better yet, subscribe to be notified when we release it. This little accessory turned out perfect for this perfect little tool. I honestly just love these because they look clean and they are cordless, which makes quick fixes way less annoying. If you want one, the code gerGO gets you 15% off. In the meantime, the lit color also finished. Do you remember the nozzle panic back in the day? I never actually had problems printing PETG on our Sovol SH03, but the upgraded nozzles provide perfect peace of mind for any SVO8 user. I should have cleaned the build plate though, one corner detached, but it is barely noticeable. This is our very last print on this damaged PI sheet, as we've just received the replacement from Sovol. It's the best time to get these, as they go for just $26 now on their website. I link to it in the description. It is also a perfect fit on and under the ultrasonic cleaner. No more terrible noise waking up the house. I've published both models on Call3D in case you get the glue gun or this exact model of an ultrasonic cleaner. If you enjoy seeing us design and print these kinds of practical solutions and make mistakes so you don't have to, please hit that like button and consider sharing this video with a maker friend who struggles with wet filament maybe. It really helps the algorithm find our channel. And let us know in the comments what is the most random thing you have fixed with a 3D print lately. Now back to the dryer. So far the SH03 is the test, but this was only the first of the 3 use cases. The second, of course, being a drying feeder for more sensitive filaments that need to be dried even during printing. I haven't fully tested this workflow yet, but there is a reason this unit is sitting on top of my Tech Q1 Pro. This completes my trio of high temperature printing setups. The Sovol SVO8 Max has the iDryer connected. The Bamboo Lab H2S has its own AMS2 drying, though that one cannot feed and dry at the same time. So the SH03 is destined to support the Tech Q1 Pro, though it could work just as well for the SVO8 or the Zero if we manage to add active chamber heaters for these two. Regarding the filament pass, there is a slight trade-off. The feeding outlets are located only on the top back, which offers less flexibility compared to the fixed dry double NT1, for example. We tested way back as our very first dryer. However, the execution here is much better. Sovol lined the pass with Teflon to ensure smooth feeding, and they included high quality silicone plugs to seal the unused ports, a massive improvement over the 3D printed caps we had to print ourselves for the fixed dry. I saw someone complain about the lid not being transparent enough to check remaining filament during a print. I don't really understand the problem. Yes, the clear acrylic is textured for rigidity, but I can perfectly see the spools through the sides. It's ready even to print from, but what happens when the print is done? That brings us to the third and most unique use case, the one that sealed the deal for me on the SH03. This is the feature that truly makes this the Swiss Army knife of dryers. This is our first standalone dryer that can do anything like this. Most other dryers just stop when the timer runs out. Then, as the air cools, the relative humidity inside spikes and your filament starts sucking in moisture again immediately, unless you manually plug those holes or move the spools to vacuum bags. Take the Sunlu SP2 for example. It is designed for long-term storage with modular containers available that attach to the base. A very convenient setup, but the transition from drying to storage is still manual. It needs constant monitoring and manual maintenance, keeping track of the humidity inside and drying again if needed. Then there's the AMS2 Pro. It has an intelligent humidity monitoring, the so-called RH mode, but to take advantage of it, you have to keep it attached to a printer that is powered on. Plus, it occupies the AMS slots, so you won't be able to use it for printing other filaments while it's in storage mode. The Sovol SH03 offers this highly advanced functionality completely on its own. And remember those dual chambers? It can do it independently for each side. You can even be actively drying or printing from one chamber while the other protects your stash. To set it up, you just have to long press the settings button immediately after the site selector, then select the material type, target temperature, and set the target humidity. You cannot set the time here because the dryer will automatically run 2-hour-long maintenance cycles whenever the humidity inside rises above your set target. The SH03 can do this autonomously thanks to those motorized vents and the firmware's access to the live humidity readouts. A killer feature executed flawlessly. This is the place for your most valued sensitive filaments. Of course, no machine is perfect, and the SH03 is no exception. The 5-button interface takes a little getting used to compared to a touchscreen or simple dial. Though once you learn it, the display is bright and informative. The filament outlets are restricted to the top back, which limits your placement options slightly, but the Teflon lining makes them work smoothly at least. And while you cannot fit massive 3 or even 2 kilogram spools inside, the ability to hold 4 standard 1 kilogram rolls usually makes up for it. So, is the Sovol SH03 right for you? If you're looking for your first or next filament dryer, I think this is currently one of the best, most versatile options on the market. It really is a double 3-in-1 Swiss Army knife. It dries quickly and quietly, it feeds smoothly, and it stores intelligently. The feature set is excellent, the operation is reliable, and having 2 independent chambers offers flexibility that single chamber units just can't match. If you decide to pick one up or need other accessories like that replacement PEI sheet or a complete printer from Sovol, please consider using our affiliate links in the description below. And since you have 4 slots to fill, we've also included links for the high quality Sunlu filaments we use. It helps support the channel so we can keep testing cool gear like this. A huge thank you also goes to our supporters on Ko-fi, who make these videos possible. You can join them with the link in the description. But we aren't just drying plastic here. We are learning a new technique that can produce much more natural looking 3D objects like this. See the texture? Can you spot any layer lines? The technology will be slightly familiar. It is the same DIY mindset with extremely satisfying results. Click here if I made you curious, or click here to watch us eat our 3D prints. Yes, seriously, a must watch. Then go print 3D. Thank you for watching yet another gerGO Print 3D video all the way to its end. Keep them dry.